Assalamu alaikum dear students. In the series of learning C programming, from today we are going to start a new concept in C, that is the file handling in C. In today's video we will discuss what is file handling, why do we need file handling, and what is file, and what are the various operations that can be performed on files. This all can be discussed very thoroughly and minutely in today's video. क्योंकि अच्छी परान C programming के C programming पर करवस आज अख नो concept start file handling. उससे आज की file handling क्या गई, अस क्या चे पेवान जरूरत file handling है, तो file क्या गई, तो कुछ operation चे अस हकान file पे कर. That can be discussed in today's video very minutely and thoroughly. So let us start first file handling in C. First, we know that file. What is file? First, what is file? We know that, for example, with the help of example, we will discuss the file handling. This is our console, or we can say output screen. Output screen. This is our console output, and we want to print the addition of two numbers. We want to print the addition of two numbers. For example, in output screen we write, for example, two variables. We have two variables, a which have value 5. For example, here int a equal to 5, b equal to 6, and another variable b equal to 6, and c equal to a plus b. That means c is another variable, a plus b. That means 5 plus 6 equal to 11. But we know the execution of any program takes place in the main memory. For example, this is our main memory. The execution, whatever the execution takes place, that takes place in the main memory. Because the memory which is currently used by the computer system is the main memory. This is the main memory. And every execution takes place in this main memory. Whenever we execute the program, the execution takes place in this main memory. Here only this execution takes place only here in main memory. But we know that main memory is volatile in nature. The main memory is volatile in nature. The main memory retains data so far as there is electricity. As soon as the electricity is switched off, the data gets erased. That means if I write in the main memory, for example, here our 5, 6, and a is 5, b 6, and c equal to 11, for example. If I write these types of the instructions on the main memory, it will retain these instructions, these data, so far as there is electricity. Whenever electricity is switched off, this data gets erased. This data gets erased. This data gets deleted. We know that because the main memory is volatile in nature. Now, if I want to store the data permanently, for example, I have written some Word document. For example, these are the bytes file. I have written it's a Word document. I have written some Word document here, and I want to store it permanently. Then where I can store it? We know that there is another type of memory that is called a hard disk. Hard disk is the secondary memory, or we can say it is a permanent memory. It retains the data permanently. It is non-volatile in nature. Hard disk, that means it retains the data permanently. If I want to store my data permanently, or if I want to store the data for further references, then where I can store it? We can store it on the hard disk. But in the hard disk, the data gets stored in the form of the files. In the hard disk, the data gets stored in the form of the files. That means in order to store the data in the hard disk, we need files. Then what is file? Actually, file is the sequence of bytes. We can say, for example, if I have a file, Word file, this Word document, for example, its name is ABC. Actually, it is a sequence of bytes. What is it? It is a sequence of bytes where we can store the data permanently. It is nothing. What is file? File is actually the sequence of bytes where we can store the data permanently. Okay. For example, if I have written some document in my laptop and I want I want to edit this document next day. Today I close that, I switch it off my laptop, and in the next day when I switch off on my laptop, I open that file, and that file, for example ABC, that file gets loaded into the main memory. For example, this is the main memory. Here, the contents of this ABC file gets loaded here. So I can fetch the data which are stored in the secondary memory, or you can just stored in the hard disk with the help of some commands. We can say with the help of some commands to the main memory, where I can perform some operations on it. Because the execution of the data, or you can say the execution takes place in the main memory. The CPU uses this main memory for this execution. That means the memory that is currently used by the user or by the computer system is the main memory. This hard disk, or you can say the secondary memory, is only for storing the data. It acts as a storage. And in the main memory, we store data in the form of the files. Now I hope that you have understood now what is file. File is nothing. File is the sequence of bytes where we can store the data permanently. And what is now file handling? File handling is to work with files, because here I have written some document. I want to store it permanently. Then I save it into the secondary device. And next day I want to fetch the data. I again switch on my computer and open that file, bring that file into the main memory, and there I could append that file, I could make changes that file, and again I'm going to save that file, and it will go back to the memory. But it is nothing. Actually, the file handling, we need to handle the files. We can handle the files with the help of some examples. With the help of some C commands. With the help of some commands in C. That commands can be also discussed inshallah in the next videos, one by one. So we know that what is file handling. File handling is nothing. File handling is the process of handling the files, working with the files, or you can say managing with the file, managing of the files in the hard disks. That is called the file handling. Now I hope that you know what is file and why do we need file handling. We need file handling in order to save the data, in order to store the data permanently. Because if I want to store the data permanently, we cannot store it on the main memory. Because main memory is volatile in nature. It carries data so far as there is electricity. As soon as the electricity is switched off, the data that was on this main memory gets lost. So we cannot store data permanently on this main memory. In order to store the data permanently, we can store it on the hard disk, or we can say secondary memory. And in the secondary memory, we can store data in the form of the files. Because the file is not, it is sequence of the bytes, it's the memory. This is where we can store the data permanently. First thing. Second thing, if we have a large amount of data to store, because we cannot store that on this main memory, because main memory is very expensive. As a result, it comes in the computers in small amounts. Because of its expensiveness, it comes in the computers in small amounts. So, in order to store large amount of data, we use this secondary memory, hard disk. And in the hard disk, we can store the data only in the form of the files. So, now I hope that you have understood why do we need files. Why do we need file handling? We need file handling in order to store the large amount of data permanently for future reference. Okay, now this for example, now these files, the files are mainly of two types. There are two types of the files. files are two types here. First one is the text, we can say text file, and second one is the bin file. The text, what is text file actually? Text file, the file is contains, for example, alphabets, symbols, we can say characters. These are the text files, and the .txt is the extension of the text files. The text files are those types of files which are created with the help of the alphabets. We can say symbols, alphabets, and numbers, etc. Or special characters. Those files are called text files, and the extension of these text files .txt, and these bin files which have the extension .bin. These are the, we can say, these are the compiled files of these text files. The files which are in the form of 0 and 1s, you can say in other words. The files which are in the form of the 0 and 1s are called text files, the bin files. And we can, in other words, you can say that these text files after compilation have the extension of bin. Or we can say that bin files are the compiled files of these text files. And the text files are unsecure. They are not secure. These files are not secure because anyone can read these files. But these bin files, these are secure files. Obviously, we cannot understood that their data is in the form of the 0 and 1s. So we can say the files, these text files are they are not so secure as that of the bin files. And the files which have their extension .txt are called text files, and those files which have the extension .bin are called bin files, binary files. Okay, I hope now that you understood what are these text files and bin files. Now, what operation we can perform on these files? The question is, now what operation we can perform a large number of operations on the files. We can perform using in a C. We can put a large amount of the operation on the file. For example, first operation that we can perform. First up, we have to create the file. We can create the file. First operation is the create file. Create. We can create a new file using some commands in C, and inshallah that operation will be discussed one by one in next videos, in coming videos. So here, first operation that could be performed on the files are the create. To create a file. How to create a file? That we will discuss in next video. Second, after creating a file, we can open that file. First of all, we have to create a file. After creating a file, we can open that file with the help of the command. And third, after opening that file, we can read that file. Read is another operation that can be performed on the files. These are the operations, these are the commands which can be performed on these files. And such commands are, so we need file handling. In order to handle these files, we need these commands. Okay, read operate. And after reading, we can also write something new on those files. So next, we can have another operation, that is the write operation. We can write something on this file, and we can also append. That means we can append the already existing files. For example, if there's this is our main memory. We can, for example, if ABC, the file that is stored on the secondary device or hard disk, we can fetch that file by using the command open. We can fetch that file into the main memory, and in the main memory, after fetching this file, we can append that file. We can make changes on that file. So we can perform the various operations on this file using some commands. Next, we can also, after performing this operation, we can also close these files. This is very important operation because after performing any operation on the file, after opening a file, we must close that file as well. So we can perform a large number of their operations on the files. Next, now the question: how to perform these operations on the files? How we can perform this file handling? We can handle the files. The files which are stored in the secondary devices, or we can say hard disk, could be handled with the help of the pointers. Pointers are used. File pointer. That we can say F-I-L-E, file. This is the, we can say it is a type, data type, just like a data type, file, and after that asterisk and PTR. this is the file pointer. With the help of this file pointer, we can handle the files. We can perform the operation on the files. So we use the pointers to handle the files. In other words, you can say we use the pointers to handle the files. Inshallah, in the next video, we will discuss this file handling in detail. This we can say the file pointer in detail. That would be discussed in the next video very minutely and thoroughly. So I hope now you understood what is file. What is file handling? Why do we need file handling? What is file handling? Where the execution of file takes place. We know file is nothing, it is the sequence of bytes where you can store the data permanently. And where you can store a large amount of the data. Because we could not store the large amount of the data on the main memory. Because main memory is used only for the execution of the data. If we have performed any operation on the memory, on the data, or we have to execute any program, first of all, that program must be loaded into the main memory. Because the execution takes place in the main memory. But we cannot store the data in the main memory permanently. Because it is volatile in nature. Because due to this volatileness, we cannot store the data in this memory for a long time, permanently. Or we cannot store a large amount of the data on the main memory due to its small size. So, in order to store a data permanently and a large amount of data, we need hard disk. And in the hard disk, we can store the data in the form of the files. That means files are used to store the data permanently here in the main. Now I hope that you have understood what is file and what is file handling, why do we need file handling, and why do we need files, and what are the various operations that can be performed on the files, and how to perform these operations on files. I have told you that we can perform the file handling, we can perform various operations on file by using the file pointer. Inshallah, that will be discussed in the next video. Till next video, take care. Bye bye.